So, welcome again to another episode to our podcast, Smile is in the Air, your oral health and prevention podcast. I'm Celso da Costa, and today with me I have Irene Iancu. And I need to do this first introduction. Irene is a woman with many hats. She does a lot. She's a practice dental hygienist with her own dental practice, Toothlife Studio, based in Toronto. Irene is a theoretical and clinical educator at Oxford College and international speaker. She has passion by working with children and orthodontists, training facial muscles post-habit breaking. She has worked in various specialties within this dentistry, including pedo, perio, ortho, DSO, group practice, and started her own dental retail company, Toothlife CA. Now, Irene has founded a way to incorporate all of her passions as an educator, speaker, and clinician by delivering education copy with anecdotal experience. That's what I got from your website, Irene. So I hope that is okay. Scientific research.
Looks like you got the long version.
I have the long version. Scientific research and personal case presentation in an entertaining and easy to listen to manner. Registered dental hygienist, speaker, educator, practice owner, podcaster, author, social media influencer. Irene, can you manage all of that in just one person?
No, I have a team. I am very lucky to have a team. Thank you for that kind introduction. You did definitely get all of the things all in one place.
I hope. But when I was looking a little bit about you and trying to write this introduction, my first question was, can this woman can this woman do much than this, or is there something that she cannot do?
There's a few things I'm working on. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting. Once you start, I like to think of it as, and I guess we'll get into that too, but I guess, pushing the scope of practice. And I think of the people that I admire as a clinician, as a hygienist, as, dentists that I look up to, specialists that I look up to. And you're always trying to reach for something else, right? You're always trying to better yourself. And someone once smart said that if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. And I always felt that was how I was practicing my life. And when someone does an introduction of me and they say, she's worked here and she's done this and she's done this and she's done this, to me, that's not impressive. To me, that's like boring almost, because I never felt like I was at home in one place. And I was constantly moving from one specialty to another. I went from working with kids to working in surgery to working in ortho to working in a very high profile practice with celebrities. And that was really cool in the moment, but I was bored. You end up moving around so much that it builds this like inconsistency of your life. So, you said if you find it impressive, but when I see that on someone's resume, I see it as, they're struggling to find where they fit. And I feel like for many years in my career, I've been a hygienist for 15 now, I always struggled to find what my passion was. But at least I was brave enough to realize it soon and not stay in a situation or relationship, as I call some of these offices that I was with, for too long. But I mean, you and I have been following each other on social media for a while now. So I feel like you've seen some of the good and you've seen some of the bad through my stories.
No, but like everyone, but I completely agree with you. It's not impressive. Sometimes it's boring because we jump till we find our place. But I think you found your place now with the Toothlife.
I created my place.
Yeah. How's it going?
It's going. I mean, I created my own office because it didn't exist. It was, every practice that I moved to, I took the good and the bad from one place and I brought it to the other. And I always had ideas of what I wanted to implement or how I wanted to treat my patients or, the follow-ups or systems and protocols. I'm a spreadsheet person. I always wanted to have systems in place. And some of the offices that I worked in were great and had systemization, but I had no voice or I had no say. I couldn't bring in any new technology. I couldn't buy my own instruments, or I didn't have my own autonomy to make decisions for the treatment of my patients, which hurt me because I knew that there was a greater world out there with more resources available. And I was unable to make those financial decisions because I wasn't the one, holding the bank account or holding the credit card. So my last office, it was interesting. It was actually funny GBT moment. I wanted an air polisher, and I didn't care what the air polisher was. I was at the point where I was so sick and tired of not being able to remove biofilm efficiently, and I was doing bacterial testing, and I was kind of like a hamster in a wheel, scaling over and over again, and there was no change and there was no health. And I finally told my boss that I want an air polisher. I don't care which one you buy me. I just need an air polisher. And she said no. And then I came back to her a year later and I said, can we set some goals and some targets? And with those goals and targets, I'll meet them. And then that's my reward. And again, she said no. So finally, the third time, fool me once, fool me twice, but fool me 3 times, and I'm the fool. I said, if we can't come up to an agreement, I'm going to leave and I'm going to open up my own office and I'll buy my own equipment. And it was kind of this like, okay, like she didn't believe that I could do it. And there was this interesting Instagram account that I followed back then, and you probably know her. She's a GBT provider, but she goes by Demand Hygienist on Instagram.
Sandra Tanatori. Yeah.
So in 2018, and I remember this vividly, but in 2018, she had her own clinic. It was stunning and beautiful and clean and modern, and she exuded on social media. What you see on Instagram and what the real life is might be different, but she exuded this like autonomy on social media, that she had herself, her operatory, one chair, her own rules. And she posted this, like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was like a pink page with some of those little beads that had letters on them. And I think it said something like, don't minimize your own dreams, or listen to your own dreams, or listen to yourself, like some inspirational kind of fluffy thing I would have thought back then. But it really made me realize that, I am lucky that I live in a country and in a province that allows for dental hygienists to become independent and to open practices. And my original dream was me with one chair, one operatory, and full autonomy. And when I told my last boss this idea, she thought I was crazy. And she said, you're never going to make it. You need a dentist there and you need to be profitable. And I said, I don't care if I don't make any money, as long as I can do the things that I want to do the way that I want to do them. Needless to say, I gave my resignation just before Christmas. So it was like the same week I gave my resignation 4 years ago. And that was it. I left for Christmas break and I never came back. And I had no plan. I had no lease. I had no office. I had no money. I had nothing. But I knew that I had 1 year to figure it out, because I was either making, $100,000 working at this dead-end job and not wanting to wake up in the morning and go to work, or I take a cut and I stop shopping online and I figure out how I'm going to make this a reality. And it became a reality very quickly when you're tapping into your savings. But it was her. And I've asked to interview her on my podcast, and she doesn't know this story. So I don't know if you're going to share this podcast episode, but I don't think
she's a
I've
friend.
Never told her this.
Actually, she's a friend.
Yeah,
she will see this.
I've never told her this before, and I wanted to wait to do it on my podcast, but I think she was concerned that her English isn't as strong as mine. So she said, maybe one day, like very politely. And
you need to push her.
It was that one post
she has a good
in
English.
2018. I know. It was that one post in 2018 that, and then following her success, or I don't want to call it success because success looks different to everybody, but following her kind of footsteps and realizing that I'm lucky that I live in this place. And luck and hard work, look a lot like the same thing, but so that's the behind the scenes look.
No, it's really good. I need to say, with Sandra, what you see is what you get. It's exactly that. She is doing her own rules. She found her path. And that's what I like about you. It's like, if you don't find your place in the world, make it. Create your own place. And that's what you have done with your practice. So, that's
and
tough.
It's grown. It's changed. It's evolved. It started with 2 operatories. I had a prosthodontist who worked for me He's ended up leaving to open up his own prostho practice, and now he comes in kind of part-time and does surgeries in more complex cases. And we have a surgeon that comes in once a month and does, all on X treatments and implant placement, and then a full-time dentist who does bread and butter dentistry. And, some dental hygienists who practice independently and don't have a dentist that work with them, but they have a really strong referral system, will say that can be just as successful. So it doesn't matter how you create your dream. It's just create it, do it. Don't go on Facebook and complain about your situation or say negative things. Act. I think that's the question that I often get asked is, how do you do it? You just do. You use less of your energy in other places and you put it into the creating of your future, and hopefully those two paths kind of align. So and adding different things every time we can, when we have a little more of a budget, we try a different product and see if perhaps that'll work. It's about exploring in your career and not getting stuck.
Oh, that's a really nice story. I wasn't aware. I think now a lot of people are gonna be aware. But that's the dream, right? Is create your own place. It's growing. I'm following you for a while, and I'm seeing how the team has grown, and how you are more and more kind of confident also in your practice. You can feel that on your posts on social media. I need to say that you can feel since you opened the practice that you had these posts let's see. I don't know what the future holds for us, but let's see. And now it's we are here and we are here to stay, and we need more people to work with us. So that's nice, and congrats for it.
Thank you.
And congrats for the full team, because already in the beginning you said I have a team, and that's important.
We were 4 people, and some days I was all people. I was the receptionist, the hygienist, the office manager, the IT team, the carpenter, the repair person, the cleaning lady. I was all of the things, and now I get to just be me. And now, social media has its own social media manager. I have a personal assistant. I have a brand manager. We've got a team of 4 people that allow me to just do clinical work. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays, I can be in the operatory, and I don't have to worry about who's answering my emails or is the Instagram post going to go up on time. And I think that that's the hardest part, is trying to manage your day and be 100% focused to the human that's in your chair. And I think that when I look at some of the big accounts on social media, they all have people that manage that, and it's not shameful, because it means that you are prioritizing the care that you're providing in that operatory. Once that door closes, there's no cell phone, there's no selfies, and there's no TikToks. We don't shoot videos on a patient day. That patient is that patient. Everything is structured and planned. And I think that's respectful. I think that's the way that it should be done. If I ever went on an interview and my owner, boss, whomever was an Instagrammer or TikToker or whatever, and every moment of the day they were pulling out their phone, I wouldn't want to work there, because there's no order.
Yeah.
There's no peace.
Yeah, 100% agree.
Patient focus.
I'm traveling a little bit the world, and I'm seeing a lot of practice, and in this practice you always have this star clinicians, and one of the things that they have in common, the good ones, is that they have the full team, and they are not taking their own picture. Someone is taking the pictures for them. So I agree with you. It's not like taking the phone. It's not hygienic. It's not like the patient will say, is he focused on me, or is he in focus in his life? So I think you have done the best decision ever. That is to build the team around it, to build around the practice, the dental practice, and to serve the most important person in the practice, that is the patient. Right?
Yeah. Well, it was funny. So following Sandra's profile, and that was one of the biggest reasons why I created my space. I mean, I was a speaker and a teacher before I became a practice owner, and hands-on courses were always something that I wanted to deliver. I just didn't have the place to do it. There really weren't many facilities here in Toronto, and if I did, I'd have to rent somebody else's office out for, thousands of dollars a day. And here in the province of Ontario, I'm a mentor for the Ontario Dental Hygienists Association, which means that I work with a practicing clinician for 6 months, and they come to my office, I go to their office, we talk every week, and we talk about dental hygiene. And the goal for them is to become an independent hygienist and have the authority to open a practice like I do. So I never had that opportunity to do it in any other space. So I looked at Sandra, and she was, doing GBT training for small groups at the time. I don't even know if she was doing it with or under the GBT umbrella.
Yeah, she was.
And if she was just doing it for her, I don't know, because it wasn't obvious, which I think is the best thing sometimes for content, is not to make it too obvious that it's branded. But I thought, what a great idea! Like, not specifically to do it for GBT. I mean, that would have been the goal, but just to have a space where hygienists could learn together. And unfortunately, my office opened during COVID, so I wasn't able to do that as planned. But now moving into 2023, that's the goal, to have small focus groups and have a place where hygienists can come together and learn together. So let's see. We'll see how that goes.
I agree. What's the point to have knowledge if we cannot share this knowledge? Like, knowledge
Right.
is like important, and for me, it's the most important thing in the world. If you share it with other people, if you share it with your peers,
Right.
otherwise you are keeping for yourself. And so what? What are you gonna do with it? So,
Yeah, agreed.
but moving on, like it was interesting. Like, you moved from this practice because you didn't have an air polisher, and now you have your own practice and you are applying GBT. Why you have adopted GBT, and how is it this daily practice with GBT?
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah, of course, always.
Okay, secrets are welcome. So when I first opened my practice, and I mean, there's certain things that I can say and certain things that I can't say, but when I first opened my practice, I was partnered on social media with a company that had an air polisher. And secretly, I was mixing your powder in their machine with a very small percentage of sodium bicarbonate, just so that it wouldn't clog up. And I was adopting this quote unquote faux GBT concept while under contract with a different company. And I felt good about it. I felt like if anyone were to find out my secret, I would be in big trouble. But I was mixing erythritol or glycine in this polisher with at a 5% sodium bicarbonate. I would mix it with a measuring cup to make sure that I got the right amount. So it was always something that I was doing, just I wasn't doing it the official way. And I thought about it for a while, and I thought about it like, what's the goal here? Is social media the goal, or is patient care the goal? And I think what happens when you do both is sometimes those lines get blurred, and you think about, well, where's the paycheck coming from? Or, how am I going to support these 5 people that are on my team if I don't, sign up with that partnership or do the right thing or whatever it is. So that was where I decided, let's stop mixing powders in a different machine just because it's easier, and let's just do the right thing and get the machine that I should have had probably from the beginning, but I couldn't afford it. I mean, opening a practice costs $1 million. My loans are more than most people's mortgages. And then a new chair went in. So in March of this past year, we opened up a new chair. I lost my personal office and I gained an operatory, which probably makes me a little bit more money monthly. But I said, okay, this is it. The new op is going in, and this is going to be my operatory. So I want my own equipment and my own devices, and that was the time that I did it. So I went from this DIY version of GBT, which wasn't great, to the real thing. And I've noticed a huge difference in my patients. I've only had it for less than a year now, but I've noticed a big shift in patient response and referrals. A lot of new patients come in, not so much from the website just yet, because I think we were just launched on the website recently. But people refer other people. And I see it in the schedule. I see my operatory is usually full because it's the one that has the GBT device in it. And patient wants GBT or patient wants airflow. They didn't even know what they want. Sometimes they'll call and be like, we want that machine with the powder stuff. Or they'll call and they say, we want the purple stuff. Yeah, I think it's becoming more recognized here. There are only 6 offices in the city of Toronto that have GBT.
Yeah.
I think I'm one of them, which is strange because we've got like the most dental hygienists per capita in the province. Our province has the most amount of hygienists in the province. So I feel like Toronto's this weird little bubble that just hasn't seen it enough yet. But I know for sure from my Instagram alone, offices are discussing it more because they see it on my page.
It's growing.
So that's kind of where it started. It started with this like behind the closed door, nobody knew the secret of what was in the powder of my chambers, to now just, having it open.
Now to provide a 100% GBT, and I'm happy for it. And if you are seeing the difference also, I think is the comfort of the patients, and they are referring the other ones. So yeah, again, I'm learning something new with you. I'm glad
you
that
and everyone listening.
Yeah, that's
stories
true.
Never shared before.
So a big preview, a big opening with this 2023 podcast episode.
This is going to be the things you didn't know about Toothlife Irene's procedure videos.
Yeah, I'm looking to my team and already thinking what we're gonna put like as a title on this one.
You're gonna need something spicy.
Yeah.
I mean, it comes down. I don't know. I feel like we should do a whole episode on social media stuff, but it comes down to really believing in what you do, right? Believing in the patient care that you provide, and being able to say no to things because it doesn't align with your practice philosophies. And that may also mean for those that don't have a say, being able to say no to a practice because, they don't align with where you want to be in your future.
This is interesting. We are talking a lot about social media in almost every episode because there's always stories to share about our own social media. And the interesting is like sometimes we feel the pressure to do something for social media that we don't really believe it, but soon enough we will just give up of it and do the right thing for the patients. And I think that's the most important. We need to do the right thing for the patients. Otherwise,
Sure.
are we fooling ourselves?
Yeah. I think another thing that should be touched on is that, there's this perceived hierarchy that dentist owns office, hygienist works for dentist, somewhere there's an assistant and an office manager and front desk, and everyone has this perceived like order of who's important versus who isn't important based on earnings or whatever that is. And I think that's such BS. Can I swear on your podcast? I don't know, is that allowed? Okay, cool. I think that's such a like old school mentality of thinking. Because in my office, my assistants do all of the ordering. I add something to a list that I say that I need, and in the end, if it fits in the budget for that month, it gets ordered. And oftentimes in many dental offices, those are the people that have the final say of when things get put on a list. So the thing that I would have changed in my last office that perhaps would have gotten me the device that I wanted was I would have had a conversation with the assistant first before going to the dentist, because the dentist wants one last thing to do. Like they just want to say yes or no. They don't want to have to deal with the problem and the consequences. They just want the solution at the end with all of the other background work done. I would have gone to my dental assistant and said, hey, I know you do all of the ordering here. This is what I want. This is the cost of it. This is the monthly cost breakdown. Can you talk me through a scenario where this could work in the next 12 to 18 months? Like, can we allocate money or put money aside every month? Can you give me a budget? Can you tell me how I can like save or what to do in order to do this? And that conversation, me now, 10 years later, thinking about it, I now have the confidence to say those things. But back then I didn't. So I think there should be this like incentive for dental hygienists to purchase their own pieces of equipment, almost like contractors. And you want to lease out your device to your dental office so other people can use it. I mean, that's a lease agreement that you can write and you can get off the internet. And that way it takes a little bit of the pressure off of the doc. If you say, okay, well, I'm going to raise my fees by 10% in order to cover these costs. And if you want other hygienists in the office to also be using these pieces of equipment, then perhaps we can come up with a lease agreement where you're renting the piece of equipment from me. But we're so focused in the way that things have always been. Doc buys this, I use that. And then we complain about it when we're dissatisfied or unhappy or things are breaking down. There's always a way. It's just a matter of talking to someone that can come up with an idea of how to do it.
Yeah, I completely agree with this. I think the past positions of power in dentistry is changing a lot. And I can give you an example here in Switzerland. There was a group of dental hygienists that felt the same thing. I need to be in command. So they opened a practice, only hygiene. And they had so much work that then they started hiring dentists. And they had an agreement, a contract with the patients, saying if you come every 6 months to the dental hygiene appointment and you follow our advices, if you have a caries, you don't pay. So they were like saying, if you follow dental hygiene, if you follow prevention, you don't gonna have cavities, and there's no problem. So we trust our work. And this was kind of a super polemical, because we had even the news going to them, other dentists that weren't agreeing. But the truth is, this was 4 years ago, and then now they have 4 other clinics in Switzerland around, a little bit all over the place. So it's working, and prevention is working, and the power positions of the past in dentistry, they are not the same. I really agree with you when you are saying that the dental assistant has a lot of power in the dental practice. I agree. I think they are the heart of the practice. And I always had this talent to talk with them and try to learn with them before learning with dentists or other dental hygienists. Yeah, I like the way that you see the stuff. That now I understand why your practice is working so well too.
Oh, well, I mean, some days it works well and other days it doesn't. I mean, it's a balance, right? It's all about balance,
ups
baby.
and downs. Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't have a hierarchy in our office. I mean, I like to think that we don't. I eat lunch with everyone in the lunchroom. I have a locker in the back. I go through the same door. I wear the same scrubs. I sign the checks, but to the patients, sometimes they don't even know that I own the office. They have no idea. Even some of the sales reps that come into our office, they don't follow me on Instagram. They wouldn't know. And all of the sales stuff that comes in goes straight to our dental assistants who order. We all are on the same playing field because we're all part of the same team. We all might have different positions, and some of those positions, like on a soccer team or baseball team, pay differently. But in the end, we all throw the ball the same way.
Yeah, I completely agree. But in your opinion, do you think that the prevention is on the top of the mind of the newest clinicians and even the patients? Have you seen this shift? And you, as a dental hygienist and the 15 years of practice,
question.
Do you see this shift?
I like to say yes, but I believe no. Every place is going to be a little bit different, and unfortunately, insurances dictate to patients what treatment is approved or not approved. Prime example, I had a patient yesterday. Young guy, around our age, drinks a lot of coffee. So I provided GBT on him, and he actually signed a media release form. So I'll probably time this episode with the release of some of his clinical photos. So, Optragate goes in, disclosing agent goes on, purple lighting up, dark purple around the gingival margins on almost every single one of his teeth, from molar to molar. And he's got this, I'm also an oral myofunctional therapist, so I talk a lot about tongue posture and lip posture. So he's anterior open bite, mouth open posture, tongue kind of stuck to the floor of the mouth. So he's got this open rest position all the time. Asian descent, big teeth, small face. So he's got this purple plaque that's all around the gingival margin. And of course, as soon as I, oral hygiene instruction at the beginning, demonstrate to him what's happening, talk about posture, talk about home care, before I even get into biofilm removal. And then I remove all of the biofilm, and you see white spot lesions on all of the teeth, almost up to the middle of the tooth. So almost 2/3 of the teeth now have these white spot lesions that have been sitting underneath this old plaque. And this is the second time I've seen him. So I saw him 4 months ago as a new patient, same conversation, and now I'm seeing him 4 months later, and we're having the same conversation, just a little less, because he's got a little less plaque, but it's still all in the same areas. So I told him that these are the first signs of areas of decay. Phosphate and calcium are leached out of the tooth. This is what causes a white spot lesion. And we need to reintroduce phosphate and calcium back into the tooth. Otherwise, these white spot lesions are going to they're going to decay. They're going to cavitate and turn into decay. So he says, what do I do? So I have a procedure that we do. It's made by 3M. It's called Vanish XT. And it's a glass ionomer that gets placed on the tooth, and it absorbs fluoride and calcium and phosphate, and it reintroduces it into the tooth. But the problem is, A, most insurance companies don't cover it, and B, it's an expensive procedure to do when you have to do it on 28 teeth, and 3, it won't last forever. It'll last for 3 months or less if you have a very acidic diet. Luckily for him, we sent an estimate in and it was covered. So he was immediately a yes to the procedure. And he asked me this in the chair. He said, this sounds like a win-win. Like, why are not more offices providing this? Why did my last dentist's office not tell me all of these things? So my question was, well, did they use disclosing agent? Did they use the purple stuff? No. Did they use anything to identify, your risk factors? We've got a risk factor sheet that we go through. Well, no. Did anyone ever ask you what kind of food or drinks you consume daily? No. And then he said, no one even took my blood pressure, and we take blood pressure at every visit. And I'm like, okay, well, I can't speak for what happened in an office that I didn't work in, but I can tell you what we do here. And sure, it's a win-win, and lucky for you that your insurance covers this procedure, but usually it's not covered. And that's the problem, is insurance really likes to cover things that are broken. You have a hole in your tooth, you have a cavity, your nerve is dead, you're missing a tooth. Sure, we'll pay for an implant that's thousands of dollars, but they won't pay for 3 surfaces of a glass ionomer that's $28 a tooth, $30 a tooth. I mean, his procedure yesterday was like $500 and it took me 20 minutes. They won't cover that, but they'll cover a 4-unit bridge that's $3,000. So prevention is not on the mind of a lot of patients, because their mind is what's going to be covered. And it's sad. It really is sad.
Yeah, we still live in the society that is more reactive than proactive, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And the same thing, you can see this in dentistry. But what I retain also from your story is that the patients know when they are in front of a good professional or in front of someone that is just doing that job. And a good professional educate the patient. A good professional explain what exists.
Yeah.
So, and advocate for the treatment. So, and the patient will advocate for you then, like he have done. Like, why did you tell me about this before? There's a solution and no one told me before. So this goes a little bit back to what we were said before. Like, and you have an article also that has one word that I love. That is, if I remember well, the article is it all Insta-worthy?
Yeah.
And this goes a little bit like, are we doing just things to show on social media, or just practicing something good for us and for the patient? And here I think what is Insta-worthy is the patient benefits, is the good health, oral health and general health from the patients that you will get after this treatment.
Right. You'll always get a negative person somewhere, right? Like, always. Like, I'll post something and 100 people will like it and 2 people will have something to say. I posted something yesterday about a whitening procedure, and I shared a study of it I like science. I use science. I like research. I like unbiased research that's not paid for by the company. Like, I spend more time researching research than actually putting together a post. And then, 5 people will send me some irrelevant research that's like, oh, but this study says, if you're looking for it, you're going to find it. If you go to PubMed and you type in, I don't know, efficacy of using, food coloring in training your pets how to speak, like you'll find something by someone, whether it's relevant or not. I mean, there's research that's ridiculous, but you've got to just be firm and also be open to learning new things. I was hiring a new hygienist recently, and my ad specifically said that we're hiring someone that can provide guided biofilm therapy. And I understand there's only 5 offices in the city that provide the service. So of course training is available. And I saw a few resumes that came in and interviews of hygienists who had similar experience to me, graduated the same year that I graduated. And that's one of the questions that I asked is, are you willing and open to learning new things? And some of them were like, well, I'm really good at scaling. Okay. I mean, I'm really good at scaling too. But are you open to learning new things? Like, have you used a laser before? Do you know what a restin is? Are you able to do a bacterial test? Oh, but I'm really good at scaling. So you can eradicate all of the bacteria in someone's mouth, like every single surface with your scalers. Then that interview didn't go very well.
They don't know how to reply after.
Right. It's like, so you can use a scaler on someone's cheeks. Cool.
Yeah,
good luck.
Good for you.
Let's see how that Google review looks. Not here. Sorry.
No, yeah. That's gonna be always trolls in the internet. You're always gonna have people that are focused in just doing their job and not seeing something more. No, we need dreamers. We need people that dream that I want to fly, and then we're gonna have someone that's gonna create the plane. Or I want to beat the record and go 100 meters below 10 seconds, and you're going to have someone that's going to do it, But till then, everything seems impossible. And having people like you that push the boundaries, that do so much, but also push others to do the same. That's what I'm looking for. That's these unicorns that I like to talk to. Irene, having said this, it was really, really a pleasure to meet you virtually. We always talk through social media, but never like in video call. Next time is a promise. We're gonna have another podcast episode, but here in our podcast room.
Oh gosh, that would be an honor. That would be really cool.
Now I would like it. So let's try.
Well, maybe next
to
summer.
This.
I'm not gonna be far from you. I'm gonna be in Copenhagen in June.
Yeah.
So maybe
why not?
We can
yeah. Tell me in June. I'm gonna be here. Yeah. So let's try to.
I get to see Elton John in Copenhagen. How exciting is that?
Nice.
Fingers crossed he's still with us by then, but
It's Elton John. It's a sir, so I'm sure that he has his contacts with somewhere that's gonna make him be here.
Okay.
I mean, again, thank you so much. So here you have it, guys. It was a pleasure to talk with Irene. We talk about her practice, about the social media, about making the good things for the patients and not just to appear good on your social media profile. I learned a lot of kind of break news actually. What pushed you to have your practice, so Sandatana Toe, and also what pushed you to change the way to perceive dentistry. So thank you for that, Irene, and I hope that everyone will enjoy it. And don't forget for the listeners to subscribe the podcast in every platform that you like to hear the podcast. So thank you and see you on the next episode.
Thank you. Peace out, peeps.